Good morning, everyone.
Morning, morning, morning.
Welcome to the Nollywood Studies Center's Filmmakers Forum. We are honored to have with us today as guest Dr. Chidia Maduekwe. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, my
Very
brother.
much. Thank you very much for agreeing to be with us today. There's a lot of interest because people have so many questions to pose to you, and we hope it's going to be a very interesting conversation.
Thank
For
you.
those who are joining us for the first time, the Filmmakers Forum is an activity organized by the Nollywood Studies Center, which is a unit of the School of Media and Communication of the Pan-Atlantic University. And the idea of this forum is to foster conversations amongst the practitioners in the industry and between the practitioners and the audience, as it were. So, we try to have these things twice a month, and yes, they prove very useful platforms. So once again, we welcome Dr. Chidia Maduekwe, who is the chairman, managing director of the national I'm sorry, the of the Nigerian Film Corporation. Let me congratulate Dr. Madueke. He's just beginning a second term. Congratulations, sir. I think that is proof of the work that you have done in the first term, and some of which we're going to be talking about today. Dr. Madueke is a medical doctor by training, but has spent quite a few years working with the government. He has been a member of the Federal House of Representatives in the Third Republic. He has served as chairman, House Committee on Defense. He has also been the national chairman, the amalgamation of Nigerian Youth Association, and a special assistant youth development to the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, the Honorable Federal Commissioner of the Federal Character Commission and with the Presidency, and also a senior management staff of the Petroleum Equalization Fund Management Board. Like I said earlier, he has spent 3 years already as head of the Nigerian Film Corporation. So once again, you are welcome. Now, to get the ball rolling, I would like us to start by talking a little bit about the responsibilities of the Nigerian Film Corporation. According to the Establishing Act for the Nigerian Film Corporation, the agency is charged with the responsibility for the development of the film industry in Nigeria. And that act specifies various functions. I will try and base my questions around these various functions, as it were. But those functions include the production of films for domestic consumption and for export, the establishment and maintenance of facilities for film production, the encouragement of production by Nigerians of films through financial and other forms of assistance, the encouragement of the development of cinematograph theaters by Nigerians by way of financial and other forms of assistance, the acquisition and distribution of films, the establishment and maintenance of national film archives, the provision of facilities for training and advancing the skills and talents of persons employed in the Nigerian film industry generally, and the conduct of research into the matters pertaining to film production and the film industry as a whole. Pardon me that I have gone through it all in such detail, but I think it's useful for our audience to understand clearly what this agency is all about. Now, sir, you have spent 3 years already in this position. And I'm sure that you entered this position with a certain vision for this sector. Over the years, it is a sector which has become very prominent, not just in Nigeria, but internationally as well. And of course, there's so much that can be done. There's so much that is yet to be done. And your agency, I think, is strategically positioned to do so much. Can you tell us, to set the ball rolling, what is your vision for this agency as regards developing the industry?
Thank you very much for having me here, and I wish to welcome all participants that have joined. I must commend you for creating this platform and for the milestone it has achieved over the period it's been in existence. May I start by saying that I have spent 4 years, not
sorry,
3
4
years.
years, not 3. Okay.
And then on the issue of my vision when I came to the industry was primarily aligned with the mandate of the industry, which you have, the corporation, which you rolled out. And I will quickly put up here that, first of all, the mandate, the law establishing the Film Corporation is an obsolete one. Being an obsolete one meant that some of those mandates you listed there may no longer be operational as of this moment. And unfortunately, despite the wishes of industry stakeholders and the National Council on Information and Culture, for this law to be rejected right from 2003, so that this corporation will become a commission with contemporary mandate. Failures by relevant levels of interest has not made it successful, but I can assure you that since I became the MD, I looked back and said, well, way to go in terms of vision alignment with mandate is to ensure that that law come to fruition. And I guess by God's grace, it will. Having laid that, I want to let you know that my vision has been one of galvanizing, developing the Nigerian film industry, aligning myself with the core mandate of the agency as those that are operational as of today. The issue of filmmaking, as you listed there, may not be operationally effective today. One, because we are not, as a developing agency, supposed to be producing film that will be in competition with the environment that we are galvanizing. And secondly, the machineries and processes of producing film are one that are now like archival. If you come to our agency headquarters in Jos, you will see that we have, what will have been rated one of the best laboratories in Africa. You could only have seen it either in Egypt or Morocco, and of course, maybe South Africa. Otherwise, Nigeria was one of the 3 best laboratories in Africa. Others, we are going to UK, Europe to process their film. But today, we are no more talking cine, we are talking digital. And so government have not been able to change those equipment so that we could be very contemporary. But that is not to say that we are not doing what we are supposed to do, particularly during the COVID-19. We have been producing films that helped to promote what needs to be done for us to maintain self. And of course, we also been doing film in collaboration with some other government agency, helping to produce what we need to produce, be it things that have to do with documentary. We've been doing that. But that apart, our mandate is strong in the area of training. And that one is not obsolete because we have been, ramping up our capacity in a way that never been done before. Of course, you are very aware that National Film Institute is the famous and foremost film institute in Nigeria. And it is the institute that blazed forth the area of film training that even most universities that were mainly theater arts, migrated to film because of the encouragement that and the initiative that came from National Film Institute. So if you come into area of training, I would tell you that we work tall in that area because our products from National Film Institute are rocking the waves, not just in Nigeria, but globally. There are no blockbuster films made in Nigeria that you cannot see a sizable footprint of NFI products in those films. I may not mention them now, but you know it because you are in the industry. And being that as it may, recently we have upped our ante, not just being a degree awarding institution. We are now a master degree awarding institution in film, culture, and archival studies. And it may interest you to know that this is the first of its kind in Africa, and it's attracting interest, not just in Nigeria, beyond Nigeria, in some other African countries. And just having the first state, and we have succeeded so much. The intake for this year has been doubled. We started with 25 students in master degree archival studies, but after meeting, we are reviewing the program with the German funding agencies, and for what we have done so far within the period, it was now double. So the next class is going to be 50. So if you come in terms of training, I can say that we are doing so well. We moved to our permanent site. We used to be in the temporary site, and every year in the permanent site, government has been graciously giving budgetary allocation so that infrastructural development has been taken off there. Still on the training aspect, based on the recently signed collaborative MOU with the French government, my counterpart CNC, it resulted to the Agency for Francais, AFD for Fund Development, the French Agency Intervention Development Intervention Agency, to commence the processes of building up infrastructural development never heard of in the history of film industry in Nigeria at NFI. As a matter of fact, yes, NFI is the area of focus, but they decided again that it's important not to concentrate all the funding in one place, so that there will be a rapid galvanization of training across the breadth of Nigeria. So NFI is going to be the area of main focus, and Lagos will be there to take care of Southwest, and of course, Abia will take care of Southeast and South. That is in the area of training, and this program.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I would like to expand a little on this last point you just made. This agreement with France. Now, yes, how you have said that these things are being put in place, but now how do we, as those of us outside the corporation, how do we tap into these initiatives? How do we get to know about them so that we can benefit? What exactly is in place so far, concretely?
To know about them, of course, what I'm saying now, we have made a repeated public announcement about them before now. And secondly, you are providing the platform today, the Film Forum meeting we are having now, so that others may know about that. Now, tapping into it is that the industry are always involved in tapping into it from one. Take, for example, our training platforms. We involve the industry people as resource persons. Whenever we are doing any training, we involve them massively, either in any area, whether it's the constituency project, we ask them to come and participate so that they work with NFC to bring the rich knowledge of what they have as industry experts to the young ones we are training. And take, for example, in the Lagos Zonal Office, where we refurbished our exhibition center for film is there, and we always give it to the industry people for lectures, for promotion of their film, as the case may be. And so we are putting this infrastructure in place so that the industry people should have access to them. Take, for example, again, some of these things, when we give to them as almost at free, because our mandate is to develop the industry. So if you say you want to do function at the Lagos Zonal Office in Cineplex, we don't charge you anything. Best we ask you to provide a diesel for the generator to run in that place. Recently, when we deploy our mobile audiovisual training platform, again, the first of its kind here in this country, we deployed it here with the Ministry of Humanitarian Services, and we are over 1,500 students, and we are trained. And after that training in Empower Creative program, they were given startups, they are put on stipend so that they can become net creators of wealth in an area of the local government or the northern Nigeria where they came from, because this particular program were for people that came from northern Nigeria. So I must say that what we do impacts the industry and is always open. We always open for the industry to tap into it. You are asking me again. Let me give an example. Our annual film festival, the Zuma Film Festival, which we have just made not to be an opportunity to celebrate cinematic excellence, but we also use it to launch out principles and new policies. One of them, when we did the content connectivity 1 and 2, the theme was on data tariff, national policy on data tariff for content exhibition. And that led to, because of the role we had with NCC, who came to give the lecture and follow up. And we are happy to announce that the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, of course, took notice of that. And there was 50% slash on tariff, which with that, it becomes easy for people to stream cheaper, and then products are exhibited online. So you find out that those policies will come into place inevitably is there as government agency to develop the industry. Is it the one we did some time ago on archival for creativity? It led to the policy of government to now make it clear that Nigerian film and video sound archives become the repository of our Western heritage in the celluloid, so that they can be preserved. So when you now make film, you are supposed to leave one of those films at the National Film and Video Censors, National Film and Video Sound Archive, in just for purpose of preservation. That's how we impact the stakeholders.
Okay, sir. I will take you up later on the thing of the archive. Let me just say to our audience that please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and we will take them as we go along. Let me take you back to something you said earlier. You said that when you started talking, that the Act as it stands is obsolete, and you have implied that there are moves to change it. What has been done so far, and how soon? Although you have mentioned that there are obstacles, but I would like to think that there's hope that this will be done soon. So what has been done so far? When can we expect an act? And what kind of differences will the new act contain?
All right, thank you for that question. I would like to let you know that within the first 2 years I came on board, we pushed, and the act was worked on at the National Assembly to the extent that it went to the president for assent, and it was returned back because there were certain areas they felt overlapped, and it was taken out, returned back again, and nothing happened. The 8th Assembly went. It's gone back to the National Assembly, and I think it's on the verge of being concluded on that conference. Right. Of both committee, both houses, and then it will go to the Mr. President and other due process. So if those who are interested in the industry because in the past, people have come to say, well, they are the ones that are responsible not to make it fly for reasons I don't know. So if people are interested to let it fly, it could fly if they think it is good. But I think it's good because one, there's no film corporation in Africa. Even Ghana that came, recently, they have just, set up a film development authority, which is like the same commission we are working on. So I want to believe that, and with the MOU we are signing, particularly with the French, government, you realize that we need to have that film commission in order to be contemporary.
Right. Thank you. Good point, sir. Now, if we are looking at some of the things that you have done in the last 1 year or last 2 years, there has been a noted push towards the signing of co-production agreements. You have signed one with France, and from other reports, you are pursuing similar agreements with other countries. Can you tell us about these co-production agreements and what will the benefits be for our filmmakers?
Yeah, we worked on that of Morocco first. And actually, it should have been signed as far back as 2018 or thereabout. You realize that the Kingdom of Morocco has a robust relationship based on the goodwill of President Mohamed Buhari, and they had the relationship in the area of agriculture. So we tapped into that relationship and had the OCP, which is the equivalent of NNPC, supporting us and getting Morocco to come up with a co-production agreement, which is being held up somewhere. Because everything has been done, is passed through the Foreign Affairs, the Ministry, and the Ministry of Justice. So I wish that we can sign that one on quickly. One, because when you watch what happens in Morocco, you find out that our industry stakeholders, particularly from northern Nigeria, will have so much to benefit if we have that co-production agreement with Morocco signed. Everything is ready. I pray before the end of the year, it could be signed. Once it's done, you find a lot of traffic and benefit flowing between Morocco and Nigeria. That's one. We recommence the one of South Africa that had been existing before now. And recently, I must commend somebody, I know he may not want me to mention him, but when some of the industry players are committed to develop the industry, it's good to give them a nod. Somebody like Professor Shodikbo has tremendously assisted us to bring the one of British Film Institute so that we can sign co-production agreement with the British Film Institute. So Professor Shodikbo has been giving a lot of energy in that direction. I guess we have gone fine that. We could have signed out of South Korea before the COVID, and Israel, and Norway, and India is on the table, but COVID has slowed this down because those of India started around February 2020. February, March 2020, which incidentally entered COVID. So India, Brazil, they are on the way. So I believe once the COVID is off, we have over 8, co-production agreement that will be on table. And I want to say that having signed one, which was the only one Nigeria can say they have with France, and one before the end of my tenure, we won't be lacking behind South Africa in the number of co-production agreements that we have put on place. Thank you.
Sorry, there's a second part to that question. What kind of benefits will our filmmakers get from these co-production agreements? How can we tap into them? What are the benefits?
Again, let's take that of France. Because we signed this co-production agreement with France, and it had other segments into it. Today, under the auspices of Federal Ministry of Finance and Budget Planning, Nigeria is witnessing an investment running into several billions of naira from AFD in the area of development of training. Philip Consulting was appointed by the French agency and the Federal Ministry of Plan and Finance. They are working on that. That is one area. Two, assuming the Nigerian filmmaker chooses the French producer in his next film, they can have almost up to 150,000 euros as grant for that film they're going to produce that has both the Nigerian filmmaker and the French, Nigerian producer with the French, producer. And not only that, the film will be shown not only in Nigeria, but in French cinemas. It's part of the agreement. So that while you still make money in Nigeria, you will make some euros, even if it's one euro or whatever in French cinemas. So there's a lot for not to talk about the issue of equipment, training, and all that. So if we sign this co-production agreement, it will help to develop our industry. It will give our filmmakers that opportunity and platform to excel and have access to grants that could support them.
You have said that if the Nigerian filmmaker links up with a French filmmaker, he will have access to funds like this. But is there any platform for such encounters to take place? How really will the Nigerian filmmakers establish this contact with their French counterparts? Does the co-production also facilitate such meetings or encounters?
Yes, it does. And that happens through NFC and the CNC. The CNC is the counterpart of NFC in France. So if you have a Nigerian filmmaker who has chosen to produce any film and has identified the French co-producer for that film, and he informs Nigerian Film Corporation, it becomes our duty to trigger off the actualization of that portion of the MOU.
Right, good point. Thank you. Well, I have a question here from Abdul Karim, who's asking, with the NFI structure on the ground, as the MD mentioned, why was a proposed media city slated in Ogun State instead of Plateau State? Citing it in Jos would have further strengthened the infrastructure development to support what has been achieved there.
I guess this would be a question for the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture to answer specifically, because I'm not a minister, so he is in a position, he took the decision and he's in a better position to answer it. But I want to say that the whole idea is about developing Nigeria film ecosystem. And if it is coming up in Ogun State, it can also, a case will be made for it to also be in Jos. You mentioned that I was a pioneer member of the Federal Character Commission, and one of the principles of Federal Character is all-inclusiveness, which meant that whatever has to be in one geopolitical zone or in one geographic zone must also be found in the other geographic zone. So I do believe that if that process has not started, it definitely will be made possible, because we have the creative industry creative edition by CBN coming up in Lagos. So there's no doubt that there is need to put an equivalent of such happening in Lagos in northern part of Nigeria, so that both north and south will have an adequate handshake in developing the industry, because we are one country. So, and we have many unemployed youths here in northern Nigeria. So, and this creative industry is one of the fastest area that they can be mined away from unemployment and even insecurity. So I am sure that authorities are concerned that such development must take place in northern part of Nigeria, be it Jos or Kano, where Abdul Karim stays, or anywhere. But I think Jos is better. Jos already have the infrastructure, and based on what the French government are doing in improving Jos already, I think the federal government shouldn't, stand akimbo and allow another country to just do all that. I'm sure there will be a counterpart funding to make sure that such creative hub is equally placed in northern Nigeria.
Right. Well, I have another question from Tony, who says, thank you very much, sir. From what we have heard so far, there's significant growth in training and production. Even the MOUs with foreign governments are mostly in production. I don't know of any national cinema that thrived and survived exclusively on the production of content. What are the NFC's initiatives and innovations in the areas of distribution and exhibition?
Thank you for that question. I'll start by saying that NFC, over the years I came on board, because we don't have the budget, so we can't come into building exhibition centers directly. But we are working through the National Assembly, and many of some of our patrons in the National Assembly are using their constituency project to set up viewing centers in their community. If they maintain that kind of tempo, I believe sooner than later we will have more community viewing centers all over the country from the angle of appropriation National Assembly. But I think that just like in the telecom, we did not have to wait to put my telecom lines before we can grow. We made use of the digital age to grow in telecom. I believe that we can grow in Nigeria by fast-tracking opportunities in online or digital streaming. Thank God that we have Netflix showing great interest. But let me use the opportunity to say that even Nigerian Film Corporation, since 2018 or 19, have been working with Google to develop an app which will be quite heavy, in terms of robustness, where all Nigerian films can be streamed, and African films, so that if we have that, we are streaming without much cost, to the industry. They will have platform for exhibition, and they will make more money than just what they are probably constrained with now in terms of not having platform for that exhibition. So that discussion is on. Again, COVID came, so Google, people, when I called them, they said they have closed, they are working online and all that kind of thing. But I have other proposals which I will announce on due season, so that you know that there's something being done by NFC in the area of digital footprint for purposes of our exhibition. With that, I think we can help. By the time, of course, you saw what the French people tried to do before even the MOU, Canal Plus, here in Abuja, in Nyanya. So I believe that many of such things are going to come up. That's why the co-production agreement is important. We have signed that agreement. AFD is involved in training. They're also taking consideration, they are becoming conscious of the fact that we are suffering on this issue of exhibition. So it is not out of place to expect that, apart from training, that AFD, based on the agreement, might be joining forces in the area of enhancement of exhibition centers.
Good point, sir. However, if you mentioned now that the need to promote the streaming platforms, but given the infrastructural challenges that we face and the fact that in many of the rural areas, you hardly have a decent internet connection, would the promotion of the community viewing centers, which you have mentioned, not be a more viable option in terms of really establishing this nationwide coverage? And at the same time, that will also contribute to providing jobs.
Yeah, I believe so. But let me quickly come in here. That is why silence often is not the best answer. When Google came in here, they deployed free internet. They started deploying free internet all over our cities as a way of kind of corporate social responsibility. Now, the telcos kicked against it. Unfortunately, you will have expected that our industry people will have come together to say, no, you are MTN. Yeah, you say you came into Nigeria, you bought this license and data is part of. Okay, is MTN not in Ghana? The same Google have gone to Ghana. They are streaming freely. The same Google is in Cameroon and some other African countries. So assuming we should know when our future is threatened and we speak up So the telcos took government to court, and they frightened Google, and they left. And so Google left to Ghana. And I'm interested to know that those who are anchoring Google present in Ghana, in South Africa, in Egypt are Nigerians. And Google understands that we need this thing more than all these other countries. But we were quiet, and they left. The telcos, the giant telcos, took them to court. If we are working in a synergistical manner, when NFC is pushing over this data tariff matter for content exhibition, we will have had industry support to fight the telcos and say, government, no, we need Google to be here. And so this issue of infrastructure you are making reference to will have been solved, because Google is coming from the cloud. They don't need any infrastructure on ground for them to stream. I hope we can note some of our fault and see what we can do to mitigate it in the future.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have a question here from Abdul Karim, another one, who is asking how many co-production requests have you received, and how many have been successfully done? Although I think you told us already that there's just one that's in place now, and you listed the ones you're working on. I except you want to add something to that, sir, but I think you have already answered that.
We have about 8 lying now for consumption. And that's one of the reasons why I visited the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs Minister 3-4 weeks ago, and he has accepted to have a desk officer in the ministry so that these things can no longer be delayed at the level of foreign ministry. I mean, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we have 8 waiting. And if not for COVID, I'm sure in the next 10 months, we'll have all of them consummated.
Right. Now, Ambrose asks a very interesting question here. He wants to know what structure has been put in place to preserve our culture when this collaborative production start. And really, because if we go back in time, in history, in the early days of filmmaking, when many of these collaborative efforts took place, with funding coming from outside, there tended to be the issue of the piper dictating, or rather the one who pays the piper dictating the tune. Now, is there something in place, which is what Ambrose is asking, to avoid this kind of thing with these collaborative efforts?
Yes. Take, for example, that of France. Before we signed this MOU, there was first and foremost a cultural bilateral agreement between Nigeria and France. So it was from that cultural bilateral agreement where preservation of our cultural interests were highly, specified, that we drew from to sign this interagency co-production agreement. Such national bilateral agreement already exists, and that is what protects us. So they cannot do anything that would be seen as the piper dictating the tune, because we are covered under such cultural bilateral agreement.
Okay, thank you. Now, I have another question here from Stephen. Stephen says, thank you so much for this awesome opportunity. I am one of the pioneer students of the MA Film Culture and Archival Studies program, and already have a cross-cultural script meant to be shot across 2 countries. I'd like to know if there's a criteria for accessing the partnership opportunity with the French producers.
Yes. You can either do it directly, or you do it, like I said, through NFC. If you do it directly, you get the French producer, or you ask us. We can ask, depending on the kind of film you want to shoot. That's why I say, if you come through NFC, we can activate it. Then we will send out the synopsis of your film, the nature of your film, to the CNC office in Paris. They will give us a list of French producers that are willing to partner with you, and we submit them back to you for you to select.
Right. Then I have another question this time from Femi. who wants to know what is the NFC doing in the area of cultural diplomacy? Nigeria's embassies and high commissions across the world should be regularly screening Nigerian cinema as a means of introducing Nigeria's culture and societies to other countries, and also hopefully building new markets for our films. How is the NFC engaging our diplomatic communities to promote our industry in the countries of their posting?
Thank you very much for that question. And let me start with what is hot right now on ground. You can't go higher than the Smithsonian Institute National Museum of Arts and Culture when it comes to projecting your cultural capacity to the global audience. And as I speak, the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. has taken one full year to showcase Nigerian film and music. And you will realize that this Smithsonian Institute of Museum of African Arts in Washington has over 9,000 works of traditional and contemporary African arts, over 300,000 photographs, and over 50,000 library volumes in its holding that showcases Nigeria's creativity and ingenuity in film and music. And they are going to deploy this for the world audience for one full year, starting from August 2021 to August 2022. And I want to let you know upfront that a lot of Afro-American movie stars in Hollywood have expressed interest in being part of that process, to the extent that they even want to come to Nigeria during this year 2021 Zuma Film Festival. And we also in touch with some of our embassies, and that's part of the reason why I said I visited the office of the Minister for Foreign Affairs. So with the desk officer in place in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it will help us cascade some of this development to other embassies all over the world.
Yeah, still in line with that, it is noticeable with the embassies of other countries here in Nigeria, the strong emphasis they give to the cultural unit. And many of these embassies organize film showings of filmmakers from their own countries. In these discussions with the embassies, our own embassies now, could this not be something that is actively promoted, that they establish a program in which they will invite the filmmakers from here for visits to the various embassies and then the showing of their films as a way of promoting this, given that film truly is a strong aspect of cultural diplomacy?
I totally agree with you. And recently here in Abuja, the Indian High Commission screened a film that was a combination of Bollywood and Nollywood. And a lot of people of high decibel in the industry, we are present. And that has created a kind of buzz for similar collaboration to take place. And I want to bring to your attention that we have what is called a film week between certain embassies, where we try to have that week dedicated for, during our film festival anyway, dedicated for that country. We have done that with Spain, we did that with America, and we also did that with Germany. So every year we get one country of note and see whether we can have a film week of that country, so that people from that country, we also done the same with Morocco. And we had a lot of people coming from Morocco, and they were very happy, when they came. We also have partnered with Ghana, recently, I think in 2019, for a similar issue, to the extent that the Ghanaian authority expressed desire to have the Anglophone biannual film festival that will be hosted between Nigeria and that be hosted between Nigeria and Ghana on biannual basis. So that's little we have been doing so far. I know we can improve on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now that you've mentioned film festivals, I have a question from Olakemi, who wants to know who would like you to speak on the Zuma Film Festival and how it helps to foster diplomatic relations with other countries.
Yeah, I did mention that in passing right now. Zuma Film Festival, which is the foremost Nigerian Film Festival, started in 1992 as National Film Festival, and our dear former managing director, Christine did, that's Afolabi, Christine did Zuma Film Festival. It used to be a biannual film festival, and for 5 years, it never held until I became MD in 2017. I commenced it again on annual basis. So, and one of the industry stakeholders there, Alex Eyengo, the former vice president of FIAP, helped us to see how we can have a intercontinental attraction to the film so that it can be listed as on the world calendar of film festival. So through that, we have been engaging with several countries. Like I said, every Zuma Film Festival since I came in 2017, we choose a country to partner with so that we'll have that country, culture, presence, and see how we can go beyond that film festival into that country's film co-production or co-relationship between Nigerian filmmakers and them. That's how we got Norway involved. And you realize that one of our brilliant students, Kenegai, did a wonderful film in that country. And from there, they also took interest with the agency that produced somebody like Kenegai. And there we've been working on them to see. In fact, at a point, we wanted to be hosting a European film festival in Norway, involving a combination of Nigeria and the European filmmakers. Again, that program have not taken up.
Still on festivals. Now, something that many times our filmmakers look for is that support when they want to take their films to some of the big festivals around the world. At least the festivals in which they can show their work and perhaps even win awards and so on. Is there any structure that provides that kind of support for filmmakers? For instance, we had the film The Milkmaid, which went up for the Oscars, and they say that usually what contributes significantly to a film winning or at least getting that position along with its own qualities is a support that the country throws behind that the films that are putting for these awards. Is there any structure that is there to support our filmmakers when they want to go in for such festivals and awards?
Yeah, certainly. As a development agency, if we are approached, we definitely will give our best shot on it. But when we are not approached, there's nothing we can do. We cannot move ahead of the person who is sponsoring it. So that remains that if NFC is involved, we will like to do our best. And part of the reason why we have asked Nigerian Bureau of Statistics to commence a comprehensive study and analysis to generate data in the film industry is because we want to be armed with such raw data in supporting any of our interests from our people in such area. So that is exactly what we have done. We are arming ourselves as government. If we are called upon, this is what we can do. As of now, we've been operating without any verifiable estimate. They're only guess estimate. But that's why National Bureau of Statistics, I approached them, the Statistician General, and he agreed. And they are putting money down, and they are going to involve with different guilds and associations, so that they will understand there is need for planning, there is need for unity, there is need to work with government agency that has been mandated and designated to develop the industry. So if such happens, we approach, like I said, it's our duty. We will run with it. We do what we need to do.
Okay. I have a question from Uche, who says, beyond the Zuma Film Festival, is there a support mechanism for other film festivals in Nigeria by the NFC so that those film festivals can thrive?
Certainly, yes. And I say so because I came up with a proposal for us to commence a traveling national film festival. And I want to align it with my colleague in National Council of Arts, so that whenever they're having NAFEST in any geopolitical zone or in any state, there should also be a component of film festival, so that a major component of film festival, so that there'll be a stimulus for the growth of other film festivals in that state or in that zone. So we are willing to support and partner with other coming film festivals. And that's part of the reason why I did mention that Alex Eyongo, who tried to help us with the Federation of Association of Film Festival, so that if Nigeria gets listed, or if NFC gets listed as a film festival destination, it will help. Because take, for example, in Morocco, they have over 100 film festivals in a year, both at the regional and at the national level. So that's what we are working on, so that we can make Nigeria as a whole, a proactive center for film festival, because one, it not only celebrates cinematic excellence, but it creates awareness, it creates interest. And those who have done well will have the platform. When they start, it's just like in the football, you talk about, football academy. The young ones pass through the academy, they look forward to playing in the big leagues. So if we have many film festivals, I guess that we will be in a better position to develop our film culture. And we are very much connected and supportive of such program.
Are you aware, sir? I mean, I don't know if people have to register these festivals with you or not, but you know that I think right now there are perhaps close to 10 or more of these film festivals that operate in the country. Do the festival organizers come to the NFC to indicate their existence, or do you have any input in any of those festivals? Because I know that there are quite a few that run in Lagos, in Abuja.
No, as of now, they are independent. They choose to either invite NFC to participate or to support, and in which case, where we can, we do either or both. So they are independent. They don't need any. They exist on their own. There's no regulatory mechanism that said they need to come to us now. They're autonomous. Those are part of our current, realities. Yeah.
But if they wanted to come to you, for instance, to get support in terms of funding, I know you've already said that your funding is limited for your agency as a whole, but will this kind of possibility exist? Does it exist now, or will it exist in the future, that festival organizers could receive some sort of financial support?
Yeah, sometime, because our funding is not there to write home or anything around about, but we can give assets. We do give assets as part of our support. Take, for example, if somebody, we have a Cineplex there in our Lagos Ikoyi zonal office. If somebody wants to do a film festival, we easily can give that space in Ikoyi free, free of charge. Because want to grow the industry. It may not be somebody with big budget that want to go to any of the A-listed, hotel to do the film festival. The person can take our screening room there and in Ikoyi, Lagos zonal office, and the premises. And some had come to do the same, and we gave them that place free. So for us, that instead of spending that big money to rent a very, wonderful, hotel, Why don't we manage with the little we have? And in some occasions, maybe, as little as 100 or 200,000 naira, if we have, we could have given for the people to say, support you, whether it's refreshment or anything. That is within our limit of what we can do. But I know in future, we can do much more, particularly where there is a kind of partnership and these processes are groomed over time, so that you can plan it. Like we are doing budget, you now plan it ahead.
Right.
But where there is no partnership and they are just doing the film festival and coming and say, okay, we need your support. We are a 100% funded agency. We won't have it on the budget head. We may not be able to support. But once there is collaboration and partnership, we can plan ahead. As we are putting Zuma in the budget, then we will also put those other film festivals in the budget as a way of developing film festivals in the country.
Right. Thank you, sir. Folakemi says, at the Lagos Berlin Festival in 1999, there was an exhibition of a classic film, Shehu Umar. Should we expect more digitized films from the National Archives?
Yes, we have an ongoing process of digitization, not only within the National Film Archive. I give an example. Sometime last year, we packed hundreds of cans, not cans, I think a DVD from Nigerian Television Authority. And we sent it to our partners in Germany so that they can digitize all those old television series like Kokra, Dad, films by Sadiq of blessed memory, and many others. So we are doing that offshore and onshore. We're also doing the ones on celluloid. So apart from Shehoma, which we are distributing right now to about 25 universities in Nigeria, we are having other films that are being digitized right there in Jos. And part of the archival policy is for our private filmmakers to come up and say they may be having either their uncles or their father's film in a way that is not well preserved. This is, even though it belongs to the individual, but we consider them as national heritage. And our mandate is to preserve and restore such film. So we have asked anybody with such film should please feel free, come to National Film and Video Sound Archives in Jos so that we can restore that film and give you back the copy and then keep the new digital copy for posterity.
I assume that will be free on the part of the person who brings it.
It's free. It's free. It's government commitment. Yeah.
Great. That's good to know. Now, I have a question here or comment from Professor Kwasi, who says, I am fully convinced that the greatest problem confronting the NFC is in the Enabling Act. At least 98% of the provisions of the Act commit the NFC to actually spending money. And with ever dwindling and scarce resources coming from government, there's absolutely not much the NFC can do in intervening in the industry. The Act as it exists today does not make the NFC a structurally oriented pro-development agency. He would like to know your thoughts on that. I think you have already told us that if the Act is being revised, you yourself have said that it's obsolete. Well, in the light of Professor Kwasi's comments, would you like to add something to that?
I wish to thank Prof for coming on from that angle because he knows very well the challenges. But the good news here is that the new Act, you see, when you have a collaboration arrangement with MOU, in my opinion, that MOU, we are not reinventing the wheel. It's supposed to strengthen us, build our industry. So when I was in France, our counterpart, that's CNC, they don't receive any budgetary approval from the French government. They are outside budget and they have money from downstream. That's the way they put it, downstream, not upstream, to the extent that they even pay themselves and return the excess to the national treasury. So by the time the Film Commission bill is made into law, I am sure that there will be multiple revenue streams that will make it possible that the long dream to set up the National Film Fund Development, Film Development Fund, NFDF, will be activated. And the Nigerian Film Commission then will be in a position to have money to give to industry operators to do what best they are supposed to do. That's exactly what happens in France. The agency provide money because the money is there, and they develop the distance. I have written to, well, let me not mention. At this year Zuma, I am expecting that a policy statement will be made from the quarters that is concerned. If it is made, I can assure you that the industry will have a new experience never existed before. Things like location incentive will be brought to bear, that if you are shooting film and there are locations, the NFC will work with you to now process what could be the incentive paid for that location where you are using. We are working on issues of tax rebate so that you don't just, other people go to South Africa or other place because they have tax rebate. We are shooting film here. What is the tax rebate that will encourage foreign co-producers to partner with our Nigerian co-producers? So those are the kind of powers we expect that the new bill can give to NFC. So I hope in our industry, we should see it collectively as something for the growth, just like this development that Nigerian Bureau of Statistics is doing for the industry. We should know that we are all educated. We should know that without planning, without data, we can't go anywhere. So I'm asking that industry stakeholders should please support Nigerian Bureau of Statistics to come up with this comprehensive study and analysis that will help align us in the industry in a manner that we should be contemporary and be professional, so that when we are asking government to invest money in what we are doing, we will give government the data, the raw data, to let them know that this is the way to go. So that's why I've asked the Statistician General to come up with this comprehensive study. So if we have it and the Film Commission bill is allowed by industry, practitioners to be passed, it is for the good of industry. We can make amendments. If there are areas we think that are not good in the Film Commission, we can make amendments. But to say no to the Film Commission bill, or to even toy with the idea of commercialization of NFC, I don't really understand. Why do you have to commercialize NFC to come and start competing? What? How is it done? Where is it done in anywhere in the country? So for me, these are kind of policy somersaults that even though I'm not a filmmaker, I might be regarded as a square peg in a round hole, but I look at that from my basic knowledge of an educated man. And why do we have to go through this policy somersault and expect the industry to grow? The industry cannot grow if we continue to witness policy somersault. So thank you, Prof, for highlighting that.
Thank you, sir. I think you have responded to Tunde's question. Tunde was asking if the NFC has a data bank on the Nigerian film industry to work with, but you have already told us that the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has begun a project to gather such data. Well, Tony is asking, what is the structure for filmmakers to approach the NFC? With whom or what department does the filmmaker connect? This is along practical lines now.
Simple question, right? Managing director, he will minute it to the director, production and industry support services. And they will process everything from there.
Okay, so you're saying, sir, that anybody who wants to approach the film, the NFC, has rights to you first?
Yes.
Okay.
Then I will minute it to the appropriate department that will work and return back to the person.
Okay. I have a question, another question from Femi. And Femi says, sir, thank you for the recent agreement NFC signed with the Nigerian military to provide technical support and information to film projects that have military narratives and characters. What is the process for accessing this support? And how is a filmmaker's story protected from tacit censorship? Thank you.
Come again with the question, please.
He says, he's thanking you for the recent agreement that NFC signed with the Nigerian military to provide technical support and information to film projects that have military narratives and characters. What is the process for accessing this support? And how is the filmmaker's story protected from tacit censorship?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. It makes me happy, one, because I was on phone conversation with the MD of the Nigerian Air Force Investment Company or something like that. And we have not met physically, but he told me that when they saw that MOU signed with Defense Headquarters, it encouraged them to facilitate funding of the recent film, Eagle Wings, and which we all know is a wonderful film. So you can see that where there is intergovernment collaboration, it helps the industry. It helps the industry. And then before now, that program has been on their table, but somehow it didn't get any win until I came up with that collaboration agreement with Minister of Defense. Now, back to his specific question. As I speak, we have selected 6 films out of the 6 proposals, synopsis, out of the 70-something. Is it 100 and something that was sent? 6. And is there at Defense Headquarters, but you know, there was change of guard. And Rear Admiral Galavak, who was the director, handed over to the new person. We are yet to meet with the new person now, after the Chief of Defense Staff was changed. And once we meet with him, we can proceed from there. It is this NFC Defense Headquarters committee that will agree. Of course, they have put the cost of the films. So NF, just like Nigerian Air Force investment company, put up their funding for that. So will Nigerian Defense Headquarters, whichever one they agree, we'll get money from Defense Headquarters, we will approach Bank of Industry, and then any other interested party, let's assume the film has something to do with French director, we will approach, we will activate the MOU with CNC, and we will approach the French people to say, okay, this is what we are doing. Provided that such film will pass through censorship, then we will now approach them. They'll come and, maybe tell us what role they played in the in the Nigerian Civil War, that kind of thing. It could be a good film because we know that French mercenaries did some thing, some stuff in Nigeria. If censorship is willing to say it's good to go, such film can be funded. Of course, we have, Liberia, which is of common interest to the country. And Defense Headquarters have said they are so we have a proposal for film in Liberia. We have contacted to some extent with the Liberian embassy in that regard. So once the Defense Headquarters is conclusive on it, we will invite those. I told you 6 films have been shortlisted. So I believe we'll get the money.
Great.
And then it will be done.
Although it says 6 out of 70, is there any hope for the remaining 66? I'm sorry, 64.
At least we have just started. So let's start with this 6 first. If God help us, we succeed. Then we can go back.
Now, there's a question here from Alex. And Alex would like to know, over the past few years, Nigeria's bilateral film policy relationship with France seems to have overtaken that with the UK through the co-production agreement and initiatives like the Canal Plus investment and Nollywood Week Paris. Do you have any thoughts on why the production with or cooperation with Britain has not kept pace?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have any specific response to that, but I did mention that Professor Shodekpo has on his own supported us to give more air. And we discussed with the people, British Film Institute recently, and wrote them. So we are waiting for their response. And I think Professor Shodekpo has really been of great assistance. And I'm thinking that the level we have reached will soon be signing that agreement.
Okay, thank you. There's a question from Steven, who wants to know, has the corporation made any attempt to design a policy that makes it compulsory for all filmmakers in Nigeria to deposit a copy of their film, both soft and hard copy, with the National Film and Audiovisual Archives before release?
There's a letter to that effect from the Honorable Minister, which were put in the public domain, that if you produce a film and it passes through censorship, you're supposed to leave a copy. In fact, the National Film and Video Censors Board is mandated to leave a copy of any film they have, censored with the National Film and Video Sound Archives. We are the national repository for such archival, documents and material. But like sometimes we are not always very compliant. So I'm waiting and seeing when some of these agencies or government, could comply, because this is done, one, to preserve such archival footage, because every country has rich, archival footage, and they spend money to preserve them, build chilling rooms, build underground, repository vaults. So you cannot create all those things like the AFD people want to do for us in JOS, and then you will not have the content, and you're not going to be forcing people. You can only let people know that this is what they're supposed to do, and it will be for the interest of humanity. So we hope, because the information is out, and I'm repeating it through this platform, that people will start sending their archival copies for us to preserve.
Thank you, sir. Now, speaking about the archives, can we have some idea of really, if I want to come and use the archives, for instance, apart from the films, yes, what else can we, is accessible to us there in the archives of the NFC?
History of the films, be it the poster, be it the manuscript, be it the equipment that was used, of things that are there in the archival vote.
Great, thank you. There's a question from Femi, who wants to know if the NFC has any media strategy or structure for ventilating its activities and generally moderating the positive projections of Nigerian film culture and activities.
We may not have been so well in the area of media projection, but we are taking steps to remedy all that. And I think recently we had an additional staff seconded to us as a technical assistant on the digital media. And I have a digital media unit now in place. And I'm happy you invited me to this forum. And so with that, my focus this second tenure is to ramp up in the area of media. We are recreating a new website that will be more robust and interactive and friendly. We want everything to be online, and we are working with Google to help us with an app and all that kind of stuff. So I believe if I'm given 6 months from today, by end of this year, the media unit of NFC will be rebranded.
Great, that's good to know. Now, you mentioned, or at least it came up a little earlier, the challenge of overlaps between what your agency does and what other agencies do, what is the collaborative effort like? Because I think that in some of the issues involved, for instance, if we talk about distribution according to the old act, well, is one of the functions of the NFC. But at the same time, the act for the Census Board, the NFVCB, indicates that they are the ones who license the cinemas and so on. So in issues such as these, what is the collaboration like? Because sometimes it's a filmmaker that will be in the middle of all of this. How, if problems come up, how are they resolved? Is there a straightforward process or what?
I don't know how to be politically correct, so I'll just tell you the collaboration is poor. Period. It's poor. The agency collaboration is poor. You try to hope that there should be collaboration, but others have a different idea. For me, I see this position as one I'm passing by. I'll do my best and move on. I'm not here to build empires. If some people come, they think they have empire building, and that's their business. I'll do my best and I'll leave. So the interagency is poor, and that's the truth. And I'll just say the way it is.
Okay, that's a hard one. Okay, now for this, you've spoken about, if we go back to the aspect of training, it's generally agreed that really, in spite of the marvelous work which has been done with the Film Institute and the various other training bodies we have in the country, it's generally agreed that really we still do not have enough. Can we look forward in the future to the establishment of another institution such as the NFI? Of course, private individuals are setting up things, but on the part of the government, will there be hopes in the future that yes, more of such schools will be set up?
Yeah, I just mentioned it that under the support of the AFD, we are looking at Lagos and Abia as new centers of cinematographic resource development center, as new centers, so they are going to put in money in Lagos, zonal office for the Southwest, and in Abia for the Southeast and South.
Okay, so that will comprise a strong component of training as well.
Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. It's called NFC Cinematographic Audiovisual Resource Development Center, Audiovisual Resource Development Center. So right. Training will be going on there. Development on anything on audiovisual will equally be going there. And the French like it because they felt that whatever support they're giving us should rapidly, percolate across the country. So when I came up with that suggestion, they bought into it very much. So that's it. Once Philip Consulting finish what they're doing, I'm thinking that by the time they award the contract, we will see activities not only in Jos, but in Lagos and Abia.
Now, it's interesting that you say this thing about setting up the structures in the different states. The film makers often face challenges in terms of their locations. For instance, you want to shoot somewhere and then you are being attacked by thugs, or that the authorities say, no, you're not permitted to shoot in this place. What are the possibilities for the filmmakers, for your agency, to enter into these agreements with the different state governments, whereby they actually try to encourage filmmakers to come and shoot in their states by giving them certain incentives?
Yeah, it will be difficult because film is on the concurrent list. So we cannot really move from Abuja to go and, do all that. The much we can do, one, we issue film permits. And as soon as we secure this development I mentioned about on location incentives, is what we are working on. That's the only way we can support the filmmakers so that there will be incentive for every location they're operating with. If I get the federal government to buy into that, I guess we will have gone a great milestone in that direction.
Right. Thank you. I have a question here from Alex. The project with the National Bureau of Statistics is a very welcome and promising initiative. Do you have a sense of the timeline for this project? When might we expect the data collection to begin, and when will the project be finished?
Data collection will commence from next month, June, and it's a project that should be done within 1 year. Analysis and all that, because they are going to use certain World Bank indices in the processes. So it will take about 1 year collection, and I hope we'll get cooperation from industry stakeholders, because before now, when past MD have tried to see whether there could be a register of industry stakeholders, it didn't all go well. They didn't get cooperation. But I hope when industry people are being asked to submit names and all that, I hope there will be a cooperation here. It will help us to finish quickly and then come with the result.
Fantastic. We'll just take one last question here. This one is from Collins, who wants to know, are there new policies for film archiving in Nigeria? And are there any plans for students who are currently studying film archiving to be integrated into the system?
No new policies except the one that was worked on 2 years ago. And of course, the students will definitely be integrated. One, because we have a sustainable relationship with the Goethe University in Frankfurt. And they are providing scholarship for some of the students this year, next year on yearly basis. And they will go to Germany as part of their master degree in archival to be in Germany. And from there, certain linkages are being created for them, not only to be nationally relevant, but to be globally relevant in matters of archival studies, particularly when the one in Nigeria is being used to drive other African countries, to be strong in that. So there is great feature of people who study postgraduates, who do postgraduate courses in archival studies, because they may have offerings outside shores of Nigeria to other African countries very soon.
Okay. Well, one question, I'm sorry, that was not the last one. One question just came in. One question just came in from Nanmet, who wants to know, talking about the usual annual training programs for filmmakers in Nigeria by the NFC, with the pandemic situation that has slowed down activities, is there any plan to run the program this year?
We will run the program, but and last year, what we did is that we had a very strong streaming presence. So this year again, we are going to deploy the same flawless streaming process that wherever you are, you can join us digitally. I mentioned Smithsonian Institute. They are going to join us digitally during this year's film festival and training program. So we have a very strong streaming partner now, so that we can always do our virtual film festival very, very effectively.
Thank you so very much. Well, more questions are cropping up here. I will just take two of them. I'll just take two of them. Now, Abdul Karim is saying, the existence of Mobicon will be helpful to the NBS project. How far will the Mobicon bill? And then Anuli is asking, is the archiving collaboration with the Goethe University forever? What happens when they stop funding the program?
Yeah. First of all, part of the agreement we had with them is that we will be able to continue where they stop. So the first agreement, I think, was 2 years, but they have now seen the success of it. They have extended it. The funding German government have extended it for another 2 years, making it 4. I want to assure you that our budgetary processes is being reformatted in a way that we will be able to fund the archival master degree program when the German government stopped. You also interested to know that the AFD that has come into the picture, it became an impetus for the German funding partners because they now saw it as an European Union project. So initially, it was as if the Germans were the only one interested. So when I got the French AFD partners involved, the Germans were very excited, and they said it was going to even help more funds from Germany because their own government will now realize that this project is Nigeria is an EU project and not just a German national funding project. So I don't think we are going to run out of money soon. It's not possible. It's not possible from what has been put in place. And besides, by the time the Film Commission bill is passed into law, I did mention that we have revenue stream from downstream. We'll be having revenue from downstream to the extent that we can say we can be partially, funded by government, So if that happens, it means that we'll have, again, enough money to continue expanding. Remember that the university is going to become a reference, it's becoming a film university. A National Film Institute is being worked on to become the National Film University. And so if it becomes National Film University, automatically, again, the budgetary allocation is going to change. So there is no fear. We can only get better. And that's why in Nigerian Film Corporation, since 2017, when I came, the slogan is powering possibilities. So there's nothing to worry about. It's not going to get down. It's going to go up, 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 up. Because by the time it becomes a reference film university, a budget will increase and then more departments will be there. And we are working on that. Then on the issue of Mopicon, which Abdul Karim raised, yeah, I guess something is happening, on the Mopicon from another angle, and then another angle again, Mopicon is being taken care of on the Film Commission bill. So whichever way it comes, it plays up. Mopicon is the way to go. And once is the way to go, it's the way for the industry to get better organized.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Maduekwe. I think we have all enjoyed this session tremendously, and it's been very enlightening. I will really echo much of what has been said here by the various persons for the platforms, so that we can follow more closely these various initiatives that the NFC is carrying out, at least so that we know, and we know also how to tap into them. So we look forward really to what you're trying to do to strengthen the media outreach. Yeah. So thank you very much, Dr. Maduekwe, and I look forward to inviting you once again, once many of these ideas have been concretized in the future. I wish you all a very, very good Saturday ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.